In this video, let's go through the packet Grade 8 review. Question 1. Which equation does not represent a linear function of x? Now, if an equation is a linear function of x, it'll have a y and an x. The x will not have an exponent attached. It will not have a square root attached. And it will not be in the denominator of a fraction. Remember, the formula for a linear function is y equals mx plus b. That's called slope-intercept form. That doesn't have anything attached to the x, no exponent, no square root, and the x is in the bottom of a fraction. So, which choice shows one of those rules being broken? We see choice D, 3x squared minus 2. I just said that an x can't have an exponent attached, and if it does, it's not linear. Question 2. The population growth of 2 towns over a period of 5 years is represented by the system of equations below, both algebraically and graphically. So here's the equations, and they graphed it for us. Which ordered pair is the solution to the system of equations? If I have a system of equations graphed, the solution is where they intersect on the graph. So the solution is right here at 4, 10. That would be choice B. Question number 3. Which expression is equivalent to 4 to the 7th times 4 to the negative 5th? When you multiply, you can simplify by adding exponents as long as the bases are the same. These bases are the same. So let's add these exponents. 7 plus negative 5 is positive 2. The base stays 4, so our answer is B, 4 to the 2nd power. Question number 4, evaluate. And then it just has 2 numbers in scientific notation in parentheses with nothing between them. Now, numbers in parentheses with nothing between them means multiply. So we're going to multiply these 2 numbers. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my calculator, and I'm going to multiply 2.4 times 10 to the 5th, or 10 to the 4th, times 4.5 times 10 to the 3rd. And when I multiply these two, I get 108, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros. So when I multiplied these 2 numbers on my calculator, I got 1.108 and then 6 zeros attached to the end. So I'm just typing it again to confirm that's the answer. 108 with 6 zeros. Great. All these answer choices are in scientific notation. So let's put this answer in scientific notation. The decimal's currently right there, and we need it to go right there because we need to make a number between 1 and 10. If I put the decimal right there, it'll be 1.08. So that would move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. So 1.08 times 10 to the 8th is our answer. Question 5, simplify. We learned on question 3 that when you multiply, you add exponents. Question 5, when we're dividing, we subtract exponents. So 8 minus negative 4. 8 minus negative 4 is really 8 plus 4 because we're minusing a negative. 8 plus 4 is 12. The answer to this one would be D, 4 to the 12th power. Number 6, which one is not equivalent to 6 to the 3rd divided by 6 to the 6th? Well, we just learned dividing, subtract the exponent. 3 minus 6 is negative 3. This one is equivalent. 6 to the negative 3rd can be rewritten. A negative exponent can be put in the denominator of the fraction, and then you cut off the negative sign. So that right there is equivalent to that. Those two are the same, so it's not that one. And then 6 to the 3rd power is 216, right? 36. 6 times 6 is 36. And 36 times 6 is 216. So that is also equivalent. That means choice A is the answer to this one. Question 7. Rectangle R undergoes a dilation with a scale factor 0.5 and then a reflection over the y-axis. The resulting image is rectangle S. Which statement about rectangles R and S is true? So I have a rectangle that was dilated then reflected. Remember, dilation means to grow or shrink. And because it's 0.5 scale factor, that means it's going to shrink. It's going to be half as big as it used to be. And then the reflection is just going to take the resulting rectangle and flip it over. So we're going to end up with a rectangle that's half as big and flipped over. So choice A says that these two rectangles are congruent and similar. Congruent means that the two rectangles are the exact same size, exact same shape, and that's not true. Similar means they're the same shape, but one is grown or shrink proportionally. So that is not true. That we're looking for the choice that says they are similar because one grew or shrunk, but not congruent because they're not the same exact size anymore. So that would be choice B. They are similar, but not congruent. Choice 8. A lab has 2 bacteria cultures. Culture A contains 8 times 10 to the 4th bacteria, and culture B contains 4 times 10 to the 6th bacteria. How do the two cultures compare in size? Well, if you look at these two numbers, culture B is bigger, right? Because the exponent is 6. That's going to move the decimal 6 times, whereas this one only has an exponent of 4. That one will move the decimal 4 times. This one right here is 80,000, and the other one here is 4 million. So which choice represents the size difference between these? Culture A is not twice as big as B. Culture A is not bigger. So which one is it here? If I want to know what do I multiply this by to get this, I'll divide these numbers. So 4 million divided by 80,000. Well, 40 divided by 8 is 5. So that takes care of the 40 here and the 8. And then we just cut off any zeros that are in both numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's one extra 0 left. So this number is 50 times smaller than this one, or 1/50th the other one. So number 8 is choice D. Number 9, in the diagram below, the 3 lines intersect at N. GNF measured 60 degrees. GNF measures 60 degrees. If this is 60 degrees, then the vertical angle across from it is also 60 degrees. Remember, when you make 2 lines intersect, the X shape creates 2 sets of congruent angles. They're angles that are the same. So these are both 60 degrees. MNL is 47. That means this one's also 47. And they want to know the measure of HNK, which is right there. So how about this? This whole picture is 360, right? But what if I just did half the picture? That would be 180. So these 3 numbers have to add up to 180 degrees. So 60 plus 47 is 107, and 180 minus 107 would be 73 degrees, which is choice C. Number 10, the table below shows the cost of different numbers of goldfish at a pet store. The cost is a linear function of the number of goldfish. Which statement describes the rate of change of this function? Choice A, the cost increases 30 cents each time a goldfish is added. That's probably true because 5 times 30 cents would be $1.50 and 10 times 30 cents is $3. Let's just go through and make sure that the rest are false. $1.50 every goldfish? Well, no, because $1.50 gets us 5 goldfish. Right? And if I add $1.50 more, I'm getting 5 more goldfish. So that one's not true. Choice C, $3 for every 5 goldfish. No, because 5 more goldfish is only $1.50 more. So it's not $3 more, it's $1.50 more. And then this one says $6 every time 5 goldfish is added. Well, no, when I add 5 goldfish, it only goes up $1.50. That's 30 cents a goldfish. Number 10 is choice A. Number 11, which one does not represent a function of x? So a function, when it's graphed, cannot go above or below itself. Do any of these graphs go above or below itself? Another way to say that, a function as a graph I cannot find any place that when I draw a vertical line, it hits it twice. So this is a vertical line. Look, I only hit it once. Look, I only hit it once. Look, I only hit it once. If I can hit a graph twice with a vertical line, then it's not a function because it's crossing over above or below itself, right? Look, I only hit it once. Look, I only hit it once. Look, I only hit it once. This one's going to be a problem, right? Look, I hit it twice. C is not a function. In choice D, look, I can't hit it more than once with vertical lines. It never crosses up over below itself. Number 12, determine the product. We need to multiply those two numbers. Product means multiply. So I'm just going to grab my calculator and do 800.5 times 2 times 10 to the 6. I'm just going to type that all on my calculator exactly as it's written. And my calculator tells me the answer is 1.601 times 10 to the 9th. I didn't have to do any simplifying at all. The calculator did the work for me. Number 12 is D. Number 13, which number is equivalent to 3 to the 4th divided by 3 to the 2nd? Remember, when you're dividing, subtract exponents. 4 minus 2 is 2. 3 to the 2nd is 3 times 3. The answer to number 13 is B. Number 14, Annette plans to visit an amusement park where she must pay for admission and purchase tickets to go on rides. Annette wants to find the total cost for a day at the amusement park. She wrote the equation C equals 1.50x plus 12 to predict C, the total cost for the day at the amusement park. What could the number 12 represent in Annette's equation? So that 12 is a number that's never going to change. X is a variable, that means that value is going to change, and C is that's the dependent variable that is entirely relying on what's happening on the right side of the equation. But that 12 is going to remain static, the same. It's not going to change. Which of these choices is something that would not change when you go to an amusement park? The number of rides? I mean, the number of rides in an amusement park could change, but it's not going to change while Annette is there. So it could be A. B, the cost of admission. The cost of admission should not change while she's there, so it could be B. The cost of each ticket, well, those could also not, that should stay the same. And D, the number of tickets. The number of tickets she purchased, the number of tickets available. I'm not quite sure what that means. So how about this? Does it define here what X represents? She wants to find the total cost for a day at an amusement park. So two things are happening to this X here. X is being multiplied by 1.5 and it's being increased by 12. So X probably represents the number of tickets she purchases. So if we multiply that by $1.50, that means the tickets are $1.50 each, right? And then we add 12 to it. So adding 12 is a flat rate. That's the cost of admission. That's choice B, right? The number of rides has nothing to do with this problem, right? That number, it could be static, right? But that number has nothing to do with this problem. This problem is entirely about the cost of going on rides and how many rides she went on and the cost of entering the park. The cost of admission is not going to change whether she goes on 0 rides or 1,000,000 rides, right? So number 14 is B. Number 15, if ABC is rotated 90 degrees clockwise around the origin, what will the new coordinates of vertex B be? So let's rotate this. This C used to be over to the left one and up one. And after it rotates, it's going to be over here, right there. Now this triangle used to point up, right? A used to be on top. But after we rotate it 90 degrees, A is going to be on the side, right? I'm going to use these numbers -2 and 3 to determine where that A is, right? If I turn this on its side, now 3 is going to be on the side and 2 is going to be up and down. So A is going to be right there. And B, instead of going over 4 and up 1, I'm going to go up 4 and over 1. So the triangle is going to look like this, right? This is rotated 90 degrees. When you rotate 90 degrees, the shape is going to become on its side. So what are the new coordinates of vertex B? Vertex B is right there. That'd be a 1 and a 4. 1, 4 is the answer to number 15. Number 16, Lucy graphed a system of linear equations. What is the solution of the system of equations? All of this work, all of this writing, I don't have to do anything. I just have to find where these two lines intersect on the graph. So where do these two lines intersect? Right here. What is that point? -1, 3. The answer to number 16 is B. It took up a whole page. There's a lot of graph and writing, but like 2 seconds of work. So let's go on to the next one. Number 17. A bicycle club went on a 6-hour ride. The graph below shows the relationship between the number of hours spent on the trails and the number of miles traveled. Which statement best interprets information by the graph? So you can see the x-axis represents the number of hours that this ride was, and the y represents the distance traveled, right? So after 0 hours, they've gone 0 miles. That makes sense. So over the course of some time, they started to increase their distance that they went, right? Then there's this flat part. So for an hour, they didn't go anywhere, right? Their distance didn't increase. And then they started traveling again. So choice A, did the club members ride at a constant speed for the entire race? Ride? No, if it was a constant rate, it would be a line. It's a straight line. It would just go straight line, no zigzags, no increase or decrease, no flatness. So it's not choice A. Number B, the club members stopped for a rest during the ride. Yeah, that would explain this right here, right? If they were resting, then their distance would not be increasing. So it's probably choice B. Choice C, the number of miles traveled increased continuously. No, right here it did not, right? It was around 32 miles for that whole hour there. So it's not choice C. And choice D, the number of miles traveled increased some of the time and decreased some of the time. How could they decrease the number of miles they travel, right? If you're on a bike, even if you go backwards, you're still going a positive. Distance is always positive, right? You can't decrease distance, right? So it's not choice D. This one always increased except for that part where it stayed the same. So choice B, they must have taken a rest at some point. All right, number 18. Mr. Wallace surveyed 75 students at Poole Middle School to find out the students' favorite place to eat lunch. The results are shown below. And you can see I've already started this question. 75 people were surveyed. 16 of them were boys that liked to eat in the cafeteria. 16 out of 75 is 21.3%. This choice does not say that 21% of them were boys in the cafeteria, nor does this one, nor does this one. This one says 21% were boys that eat in the cafeteria. And 24 out of 75 is the girls that eat in the cafeteria. That works out to be not 42.7%. That works out to be 32%, which, hey, look at that. That's what it says. So number 18 is choice B. Number 19, which equation represents the line showed on the coordinate grid below? They were nice enough to give us 2 points here, so I can calculate my slope, which is rise over run. My slope is up 1 and over, my slope is actually up 2, right? Because this is a -2 right there. So even though it's only 1 square, they went up 2. And going right is actually 4, right? It's only 2 squares, but it's actually over 4. So my rise is 2 and my run is 4. That would reduce to 1/2. So my slope is 1/2. None of these. Oh, look carefully. That's not a 4. That's a 5. So my slope is actually rise 2, run 5, which would not be reduced. So all of these are 2/5. This one and this one are negative slope. That's not a negative slope. So I'm going to eliminate choice C and choice D. So now it's between these two. And look at right here. The y-intercept is -2. So that's going to be choice A. Number 19 is A. Number 20, a sequence of transformations was applied to an equilateral triangle in a coordinate plane. The transformations used were rotations, reflections, and translations. Remember, rotation means to spin. Reflection means to flip, and translation means to move. So if I do all those things, it's still going to be an equilateral triangle. It's still going to be the same size, and it's still going to be the same shape. So choice A, it must be an equilateral triangle with the same size, side lengths. Yeah, it's probably that one. Choice B, it must be an equilateral triangle, but the side lengths will differ. No. It may be a scalene triangle. Scalene means all the sides are different. How would that happen, right? If we just spun it and flipped it and moved it, the sides aren't going to change length, so it's not choice C. Choice D, it may be an obtuse triangle with at least one side. Again, you change the type of triangle. That's not going to happen unless you dilate it, and even then it would still say equilateral. Choice A says it's still an equilateral triangle, so we're going to pick choice A. Number 21, what is the solution to this equation? So if we distribute this 2, we're going to get 2x minus 6 equals 2x plus 5. Now we learned that when you solve an equation, there's variables on both sides. If the variable term is exactly the same on both sides, then it's either going to have no solution or infinitely many solutions. If it was no solution, then that means that the two sides of the equation are not identical. And if it's infinitely many solutions, that means that the two sides of the equation are exactly identical. So look at this, they're not identical, right? So that means there's going to be no solution. There is no number that I can put in place of that x, that when I also put it there, I'm going to make an equal statement. That's never going to happen. So number 21 is choice C. Number 22, which sequence of transformations takes triangle A to its image, triangle B? Yeah, so triangle B looks like it's been flipped, right? Because it's the slant here used to be on the left and now it's on the right. It's going, it's going the other way too. And it's also moved down a little bit. So we need it to move down, which is a translation. We need it to, if this used to be on the left and now it's on the right, we need it to flip, right? So which choice shows that we flipped and moved? What if we reflected over the x-axis and translate it 2 down? Well, this is the x-axis, so reflected over the x-axis, it'll go down there, so it's not that one. Reflection over the y-axis, it could be that one, and then translation down 2. So if I flip it, then this point negative 9, 4 is going to become 9, 4. That would be right there. And then, yeah, it looks like it moves down 2, right? So reflection over y and translation down 2. Let's make sure it's not the other ones. Oh, these two both have rotation involved. If this were to rotate 90 degrees, then this point would be on the bottom. It would be a triangle where this point is 3, 4. It would be right there, and it would kind of look like that, right? It's a bad drawing, but you see what I mean, that it would rotate it to point down. So it's not choice C or D. Number 23, which line represents the best fit of data for the represents the best fit for the scatter plot data? If it's a good line of best fit, then it's going to go right through the middle of all the dots. It's going to kind of have some above, some below. It's going to follow all the dots. And choice A is the only one that does that. Choice D is tempting, but all the dots are below, and a good line of best fit is going to have some of them above and some of them below, kind of as evenly as they could possibly do. So number 23 is A. Number 24, a researcher studied the eyesight of people at different ages. She calculated a vision score for each person in the study and plotted the data in the graph below. The researcher used the line y equals negative 1x negative 0.01 y equals negative 0.1x plus 110 to model the data. When she substituted the value x equals 65, what did the result tell her? We don't even really need this graph for this problem. They're saying substitute 65 into this problem and see what happens. I guess we do need the graph because we need to know what x and y mean. So in this equation, if I put 65 there, that's going to be negative 0.1 times 65 plus 110. That times that would be 6.5, right? Yeah, 6.5, negative 6.5 plus 110. So that would be y is equal to 110 minus 6.5. So if I do 110 minus 6, that'd be 104. So 103.5. Yeah, 103.5. So anyway, what does that number represent? Well, it says y equals 103.5, and y in this problem represents their vision score. So if we put in 65 for x represents the age, and y represents the vision score. So that would mean the age is 65 and their vision score would be 103.5. Now that's not a prediction for every 65-year-old. That's just according to this data, a 65-year-old is expected to have a vision score of 103.5. So that's why choice B, the right answer, says the predicted value. This formula, this equation they were using, is not for every 65-year-old ever, and it's not even for any 65-year-old here, because look, 65, this 65-year-old was at a 102, right? This is predicting any future 65-year-old. We can expect them to have a vision score of 103.5. So number 24 is choice B. And the last question here, it's a lot of wasted paper. Number 25, the combined volume of all the tanks at an aquarium is 1.25 times 10 to the 6 gallons. The aquarium plans to install a new dolphin tank with a volume of 250,000 gallons. What will be the total volume of all the tanks at the aquarium after the new dolphin tank is installed? Total means add. So we just need to add these two numbers. You have a calculator, so on your calculator, you should just type 1.25 times 10 to the 6 plus 250,000. Now when I do this, I put each number in parentheses on my calculator because I don't want to mix up the exponents or the scientific notation of each number. I just want the calculator to do the work for me without mixing everything up. So I'm going to type that on my calculator. Oops. Would help if I typed it correctly. And when I'm done, my calculator says the answer is 1,500,000, which is not one of the choices because they put the answers in scientific notation. So the decimal's right here, and it should go right there to make a number between 1 and 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The decimal needs to move 6 places. Number 25 would be choice C. So that's all. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.